Another similar incident is related to a snake charmer. One day, in the courtyard of a rich man's house, this snake charmer was performing a snake dance. He was chanting a special mantra, accompanied by musicians, playing the mridanga and mandira. Haridasa was passing by and stood to one side, watching the snake dance. Although the snake charmer was an ordinary human being, by the influence of his mantra, he could dance as though the spirit of the king of the snakes, Anantasesha, possessed him. With an enchanting melody, he sang about the pastimes of Lord Krishna in the lake called Kaliya Daha, where the Lord had vanquished an evil serpent called Kaliya. Haridasa listened intently to the pastime of his beloved Lord Krishna, and suddenly, moved by ecstasy, he fell unconscious to the ground. When he regained consciousness, he jumped to his feet and roared like a lion, dancing in ecstasy as he babbled with joy. The snake charmer was impressed by this manifestation of ecstatic symptoms in Haridasa's body and stood respectfully to the side. As the various symptoms of horripilation, crying and shivering, traversed Haridasa's body, he rolled in the dust, crying in love for Krishna. He remembered how his beloved Lord had mercifully saved the snake Kaliya, and as he floated in ecstatic trance, the people around him obliged by singing songs about the wonderful pastimes of the Lord. The snake charmer simply stood to the side, overcome by awe and reverence for Haridasa. When his ecstasy subsided, Haridasa left, and the snake charmer resumed his performance. Everyone who witnessed the ecstasy of Haridasa felt spiritually exhilarated, and they smeared their bodies with the dust from his feet. However, one cunning and deceitful Brahmin in the crowd decided to cheat the people. "I will also dance here," he told himself. "I can see that the people are not very intelligent. They are offering so much respect to this low-born Haridasa just because he dances and cries. If I, a Brahmin, also dance and cry, they will certainly worship me as well." The Brahmin threw himself on the ground and feigned unconsciousness, as though he had fallen into a trance. However, as soon as he touched the ground, the dancing snake charmer became furious, picked up a stick, and began beating that Brahmin relentlessly. He struck him repeatedly on every part of his body until the Brahmin, howling in agony, got up and ran away just to save his life. The snake charmer then resumed his dance while the entire crowd stood dumbfounded. At last, a man with folded hands humbly requested the snake charmer to explain why he had stood respectfully to the side while Haridasa danced, yet he had beaten the Brahmin for what seemed to be the same activity. The spirit of Anantasesha, who dwelt within that snake charmer, then spoke in glorification of Srila Das Thakur. "The subject matter of your inquiry is very confidential. Although such a topic is rarely discussed because of its highly esoteric nature, I shall nevertheless answer your question. When Srila Das Thakur was dancing in ecstatic trance, each one of us felt our respect and affection for him spontaneously increase. However, the deceitful Brahmin was simply imitating Haridasa in order to get some cheap adoration from the crowd, not out of love for Krishna, but out of enviousness toward a pure devotee. The Brahmin threw himself on the ground and feigned ecstasy. Furthermore, he interrupted my dancing. Since he disturbed me and tried to imitate a pure devotee, I punished him severely. This arrogant and deceitful Brahmin has no love for Krishna. To receive the shelter of devotional service at the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, one has to become pure, free from deceit. By seeing Srila Haridasa dance, one becomes liberated from material bondage. Even the Supreme Lord Krishna himself dances when he sees Srila Das Thakur dance. The entire universe becomes cleansed of all sinful reactions just by seeing Srila Haridasa dance. He is truly worthy of his name, Haridasa Thakur, the servant of the Supreme Lord, Hare Kṛṣṇa, who shines eternally like the full moon in the heart of his devotee. Haridasa is affectionate and compassionate toward all living entities, and he descends as the eternal servant of the Supreme Lord in each of the Lord's incarnations. He is free from any fault or offense toward the Supreme Lord or his devotees. Even in his dreams, he never commits an offense. A moment's association with Haridasa can purify any living entity and assure him the eternal shelter of Lord Krishna's lotus feet. Even Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva constantly desire his association. Haridasa appeared in the family of a lowly Muslim on the order of the Supreme Lord, just to teach human society that material designations like caste, creed, birth status, and family position are all illusory, and pursuing them is futile. If a pure devotee of the Lord is born in a low-class family, he is no less worthy of worship. This is the injunction of the scriptures. On the other hand, if someone is born in a sophisticated family, but does not worship the lotus feet of Sri Krishna, then his high birth is useless, for he lives just like a resident of hell. Just to prove the truth of these scriptures, Srila Haridasa took birth in a low-caste family. Prahlad Maharaj, one of the greatest devotees of the Lord, had previously appeared in a family of demons. And Hanuman, the greatest devotee of Lord Ramachandra, took birth in monkey species. The demigods desire the touch of the pure and transcendental form of Srila Haridasa Thakur, and Ganga Mata also prays that her water will be sanctified by his presence. However, one need not touch Srila Das Thakur. Simply by seeing him, one is automatically free from the eternal cycle of birth and death. Furthermore, one who sees a devotee who has taken shelter at the lotus feet of Srila Haridasa Thakur is also granted freedom from material bondage. Neither 1,000 mouths nor 1,000 ears would be sufficient to describe and hear the wonderful qualities of Srila Haridasa. You are a fortunate soul, for your inquiry has given me an opportunity to glorify the pure devotee, and has given you the opportunity to hear the transcendental topic. From the moment a person speaks the name of Srila Haridasa Thakur, his ascension to the supreme abode of Lord Krishna is guaranteed. Nagaraj, the Snakecharmer, then fell silent. The assembled Brahmins and pious gentlemen felt thoroughly satisfied by his glorification of Srila Haridasa. Of course, Anantasesha is a pure Vaishnava devotee of the Supreme Lord, and is always engaged in glorifying the Lord and his devotees. This was not his first occasion to describe the outstanding qualities of Haridasa. The assembly accepted the Nagaraj's appraisal of Haridasa, and the love each person felt for Haridasa increased. Anyone who listens with faith and devotion to these narrations will find eternal shelter at the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, Sri Gaurachandra. Sri Krishna Chaitanya and Nityananda Prabhu are my life and soul. I, Vrindavan Das, humbly offer this song at their lotus feet.